yeah, I'm really excited that we can start having these kinds of conversations together. I just have to put that out there. I was speaking to a Katie Holmes from America the other day, and she was talking to me, asking me what are the innovations you're seeing in South Africa in financial planning and advisors and technology and what's going on. And after a while, I eventually decided to share with her, Mary, that for me, the most exciting innovation at the moment is not technology, it's these incredible conversations that I'm starting to have with financial planners and how they're looking at taking this thinking and these ideas and using them to inform their conversations with their clients. It's amazing. And I think it's the best innovation I've seen in a very long time. So I will now be quiet.
Oh, that's fine. Carmen, you wanted to say?
Sorry, no, I just wanted to say it is exciting. I didn't actually expect this as part of the financial coaching program because just a couple of months ago, I was looking at different programs as in what to send, direction for my coaching. And I actually did look at like mind-body sort of coaching where you address these type of subjects. So this is even more exciting for me because it incorporates it now.
Yeah, no, for sure, Carmen. And I actually thought I want to officially introduce yourself and Alta with each other, that you can link up, but you can definitely link up afterwards, because Alta, a large portion of her work is actually energy work. Carmen, and I know you're very interested in that, so I think you can also leverage from each other on that. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Lemming, when you came in, you wanted to share a thought.
Actually, I was just I was just wanting to greet everyone. I came in a bit late, so I wasn't so sure of what was the discussion. So
yeah.
It's lovely to put a face to a name.
Thank you, Robin.
Emailing each other. Lovely to see you.
Likewise.
Hello.
So personally, my journey was now the integral coaching, which includes body ontology, which includes body. And then I had the privilege to work with Winnie Palmer and go on a total coaching embodiment journey. But as part of the New Ventures book club, about 2 or 3 years ago, we had the book of Deb Dana on Polyvagal Theory, and I actually, when I read the book, it's such a nice practical book with so much. It's one of those books that share the theory in a way that normal humans can consume it. And then secondly, what is nice for me is it's so filled with exercises you can actually apply. So and I actually said to somebody at that point in time, for me, it's most probably from a body point of view and a body coaching point of view, most probably one of the most accessible books that makes it so simplistic in terms of working with the body. And that's not discounting all the other wonderful work that people like Wendy and a lot of the other people that does body work share with us. I think all of those, actually, I was going here through my stuff and I was looking at some of the things like the Buddha's Brain and all those books. That's also got wonderful things in as I was working. And Zen Leadership also I think is also one of those practical books in terms of integrating energy and body, and so that was my journey a little bit with it. And then when we did, what was it, 2 months ago, we did the whole thing around financial anxiety, and looking at that to say, looking at financial anxiety, or if we look from it from a holistic point of view, the first thing is, if we look at moods, we're sitting with anxiety as a mood and an emotion, and linked to that, we sit with, if we then unpack that from a coaching viewpoint, anxiety is our fear of dealing with uncertainty. And so the uncertainty causes us then anxiety, instead of saying, the counter mood for anxiety is wonder. So, and being curious and seeing what can we learn out of this uncertainty. My eldest daughter this morning, when she was having breakfast, said, Dad, I'm coming to the conclusion that there's nothing that's certain in this world, and I said, welcome to this world. I think you'll have much less suffering if you can just accept that there is no certainty. All of us is at a certain point in time is going to have some or other pain, and then finances is one of those, and and in thinking of that, was those thoughts that's coming up for me, what other than the stuff that we dealt with financial anxiety is, what is financial satisfaction for you as an individual, and what is the drivers behind financial satisfaction. The other one that, in my mind, that causes financial anxiety is the whole thing of life transitions. And life is full of those, irrespective if it's a change in marriage or a divorce or elderly parents or what. All of those is causing us some or other uncertainty, which is causing us this financial anxiety. The other one is most probably also that thing which is, the world is so full of it, is separation, and with separation, I think it's that also that comparison syndrome. We constantly comparing each other, and that's causing divide, which is also causing anxiety, and the other one is most probably clinging to short-term pleasures, and then chasing that dopamine for the next quick pleasure that we get nearly the which then causes us nearly like being, at the old end of the day, addicted to the next spending, the next big thing that we want to go and buy, this spending time with friends, but spending money with that also, and all of that is causing us anxiety. And then if we think about it, and if you look at polyvagal theory, or you look at a lot of the work that is done, I think the first big distinction for me is, if you think of the brain as such, and you think of the mind, is then the rest of your body, which, and some of the neuroscientists talks then about the brain as the one mind, our hearts is the other mind, and our hara, or our gut, is the other mind. And research has actually shown there's more neurons in our stomachs and core than there's neurons firing in our brain as such. And if you think of that, we across our brain, our hearts, and our core, and then that's not even taking our body, the rest of our body, our skins, etc., which also have got neurons that's receptors of feeling what's going on around us into consideration. Then it's clear that our engagement with the world and our way of observing with the world is more than just our brains, but it's actually our bodies that's engaging with the world, and then if you think about it, and I grew up on a farm in Alta, which is also involved in a farm. You'll see the animals start running, and you will not know for what reason it is, and then all of a sudden you'll have thunder coming up, and it's the animals experiencing and feeling that long before we feel it, because they just so attuned to nature and what's happening around that. And I think we get so caught up in our brain minds that we so in the logic and how things must happen, and and also we want to control from also saw from the research we did with the money anxiety that the other part is that financial planning with them, if we are only going to have a cognitive discussion, especially if we're going to get caught up in the as part of the process and not taking into consideration things like moods and the body and these stories of that if we're just going to get caught up in the numbers, that's most probably why a lot of clients don't even want to discuss their budgets, because they firstly so ashamed of it by themselves and self-judgment, etc., that goes with that we need to get them engaged in other ways with that, getting them away from the judgment around what is happening in their lives as such, and getting them into their bodies and getting them into their moods and getting them into their stories. And if we can get them there, then I think we are having great conversations with our clients to really enable them, to self-empower them, to be able to create self-generated solutions for them, which they can own and then take on their journey. But we need to engage them as whole body individuals and not just, firstly, definitely not as figures, but secondly, it doesn't help we only have cognitive discussions, because most probably they're going to get so caught up in any case and still being in an anxiety rather than engaging as human beings in the financial planning process. So I'm just going to stop here for a moment before we get into a little bit of exploring how we can use, in my mind, how we can use polyvagal theory as part of engaging the body as complete human beings. So thoughts from you all on the call. What comes up for you?
Francis,
I don't hear you, but it looks if you are
Hendrik,
talking. Yeah, there you are. Daar's hy.
Hendrik, jy het nou so baie gepraat. Ek is besig om te prosesseer. Hendrik, dis vir my 'n nuwe it's a new theory for me. So yes, I agree that we need to engage with our clients as a whole person. So yeah, the challenge is how exactly am I going to do that? So thank you.
Thanks for that, Francis.
Hendrik, if I can come in, I think, I use polyvagal theory just for normal anxiety of my personality, and that's why I love the personalities. And if you understand the personality type, you know that all of us has got limiting beliefs and fears that we need to move past, because we're only actually using 5% of our brain. And there's 95% that we're not using. And that's the emotional part that it gets stuck in the body and telling us it's wrong and it's, we need to control, and all these crooked beliefs that we created, or belief systems that we created through our lives. And I really think the polyvagal theory is there to help a client transition and get a new perspective on it's not really a problem. I always say to people, problems is your gifts, So why do you get financial anxiety? Is it a past belief system? Do you not believe in yourself? But apart from the financial anxiety and the thoughts around money, that's the one thing. If I can't spend more, I'm also going to have financial anxiety. I'm the opposite. If I don't save, I get financial anxiety. But so it's really to get the inner nuggets of gold within yourself and your own I call it spiritual gifts that you need to share with the world, because that's really the breakthrough. And I'm very comfortable to talk about this, but I normally don't talk about this in financial coaching. And I think that's why I was surprised when you said polyvagal theory, because for some people I can really go deep, but some of the people's not really. And I'm really surprised with the audience that we've got here, because I moved so much from the financial knowledge to we make our financial decisions on emotions, and that it's governed by spiritual laws for me. Nothing else. That's in short what I believe now.
Yeah. Thanks, Alta.
If I can share how I've described it to clients or people in general, is as humans, we have multiple intelligences. We often are relying on one intelligence. And that could be your thinking. For some people, it is their emotions and they don't think. And for some people, it is their bodies, but it's a gut instinct, and we're not connecting all of it. So if we have all these intelligences, why are we using them? And how can we identify the one we use the most and the one we use the least, and then the one in the middle, and create sort of a framework or formula for ourselves to check ourselves, where all of our intelligences provide data. And the data is of equal weight. No one piece of data is more or better than the other. So your emotions are no less valid than your thoughts, no less valid than the sensations you have in your body. And I found that kind of neutralizes the approach to it without it being too touchy-feely. I also believe in the spiritual aspect of life, but some people can't access it that way. But to just go, let's access all of our intelligence because it's data. And then how can we use this data to create a framework for ourselves to bring all of that information towards our decision making and our behavior, and then ultimately how we see the world and engage with money.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Mary. I think very useful. Anybody else that want to add to that or ask? That's the whole purpose of this conversation circle, is to share and learn from each other. So yeah, in a non-judgmental way.
For me, I'm just excited. I'm learning a lot from what everybody is sharing here, and I hope I'll have after this to use most of it in my job to help improve my job as well. I'm really enjoying. I'm learning a lot. Thank you.
Thanks for that. So if we think of the polyvagal theory, or then our body as such, and to put it into most probably more accessible language for ourselves, I love that analogy that they've got on the document that I sent you, also the ladder. But for now, you can just draw a ladder there if you haven't got the document in front of you, and perhaps just think of the ladder as such. And for me, to add to what Mary was saying, after having permission to explore other ways of looking at engagement, especially if I see a client is battling with normally financial anxiety is not the only anxiety. It's most probably a scarcity mindset that's driving that, because with money anxiety, more or less, you'll get the same conversation. I do not have enough time. I do not engage enough with my social in my social circles, etc. So normally it's a general mood of anxiety that you start picking up, listening to the language, observing the mood. There's not enough opportunities in the country, there's not enough opportunities in the world. You'll start getting all that. And the other one is, which is important, is also to observe what is our own biases and our own energy that we're putting into the world, because it's much easier to side with somebody that's got the same energy that you've got and the same feeling and the same biases than else, and then if somebody else have got different energy and a different way of engaging and different words, is against not to judge them, but to take what wonderful gifts they are bringing to the world in their specific unique way, especially if those gifts are serving them, because it's not necessary if something that I observe that's not good is not adding value to somebody else, because they just use their way of engaging in the world, but probably in a way that's serving them and is working for them. And if it's serving them, then it's not my work to try and change them, because that's wonderful and I can perhaps learn from that. So what I like about the analogy is most probably if we start and say for us as human beings, if we think of then our brain, our hearts, and then our gut is in the middle of the ladder. Then if we think our minds is at the top of the ladder, then most probably if we then think of that is, if we think about the sympathetic nervous system, which is actually there, if we think about that from the usefulness of it of all the years, is to protect us. So is to saying, yes, some danger coming at us. We walking in the veld, and all of a sudden we hear something move, and is it the snake? Is it the buffalo coming for us? It's a lion coming for us, or is it just our dog that's coming for us, that wants to come and walk with us, or one of our children, or whatever the case may be? And immediately we'll feel some other form of anxiety, and that's most probably then is to say, the first thing is, in terms of energy regulation, is, where are we going to put the energy? Are we immediately going flight, freeze, or fight, or are we just going to, for the moment, pause? Stephen Covey always said, is that being proactive is that moment of pause, is to making something rational and not jump at it. And I think from a mindfulness and a meditation viewpoint, is the wonder is if we can embody that in that moment, is to what's happening here, and we can just keep it. If we keep it there and we do not start analyzing and let it go to our minds, then we've got the benefit at that point in time. If we just keep it in our bodies and observe, then we can't add any emotion to it. We do not add any language to it. We do not add previous stories that happened in our lives, because that is, our mind wants to go to what is natural and quick for us, and go to that we can associate with. Oh, so that this person is telling me that somebody that in the past told me that actually took me for a ride. So is this going to happen again? So immediately, the last time my child came and said to me, "Popsy Dupsy," then I know, is this now love, or is this wanting money? So, but just let it, leave it, and okay, let's explore and be curious, but our body is saying to us what's going on here, and it's then to say, how do we keep it there, and how are we going to deal with it? Because it is very useful, but it could also just be a scare. And the problem is, if we tend to then entertain that in a negative way, that's not adding any value to us, then we're actually going in a downward spiral, and we're most probably going to go down the ladder instead of up the ladder, where if we're curious, we can go up the ladder and go and explore what are there for us to that can come from this. What is the wonder that can come from this? If that's a client that walked into our offices, that always phoning us, that just heard that they going to lose their jobs, or whatever the case may be. It's terrible, but that is what it is, my youngest daughter will say. And you know what, let's explore and what is the possibilities that's coming. Yeah, but acknowledge it, but not start putting a lot of stories to it. Yeah, because this is also the point where we will most probably, if we go down the spiral, we'll start with the not enough and scarcity stories. And it also, you know, it's feelings of confusion that we will hear from our clients. It's also conversations of taking sides, you know, the world is against me, or I need to fight this. And also, it's also a space where we sometimes tend to go into judgment of others, but also ourselves, where if we sit there because we go to those previous stories, and that will then take us either down the ladder or up the ladder, how we use that. And we sometimes feel as humans that we are pushed to make a choice here. So you know, instead of just sitting with it and being curious for some time and then see what our bodies actually tells us where we must go and access it, and you know, just open up, you know, and that's not saying that we now must stagnate and procrastinate, etc. But you know, what is chasing us to make a big decision around our finances? You know, what pushes me to buy that next thing that I in the moment think is going to solve my and let me feel better? You know, for me, it's perhaps a book or another course or whatever the case may be. Is why not? Okay, this looks interesting. Just put it in my basket or put it on my list, and I'll come back to it. And yeah, so just postpone it. Seek what seems the right thing to do in flow. And then what last point on this one is, for me, what works is then to say, perhaps give this thing a name which sits for you. Why talk about the sympathetic system or whatever the case may be in your life? You know, what name will you give this space? You know, so for me, it's something about being a little bit scattered. Most probably is the name I'll give to this, because out of this little bit of chaos around me, I must now make sense. So I find myself sometimes there, and that's the space where I'm scattered. So yeah, so just get calm, take a few breaths, go make sure your outgoing breath is longer than your incoming one. Just find yourself irrespective. Entertain whatever is happening around you in the space around you, and it's not focused on you, whatever somebody is saying or what's happening around you. Is you're still alive, and just breathe and see what comes out of this. And I know it's not that easy. I'm still trying with it every day. So yeah, so thoughts that come up for you around sympathetic, and you know, perhaps listening to what the outlines say, observing in their bodies what's going on, and just helping them to find themselves and explore that space.
Something I've noticed or picked up in with the way financial services operates right now and the value we can add with the coaching approach is that a lot of the financial services right now is reactive towards that client being in that activated state where there's a problem with this thing I have to attend to right now and it feels urgent. And then we jump in and we're like, yes, and this is what we should do. And that slowing it down with the coaching approach and more time and attending to whether we are explicitly discussing and exploring this kind of thing with the client, or whether through our process. There was an article recently about give clients what they want as well as what they need, but sometimes they don't know what they need. and so they might not know that they need the soothing and the calming And can we build that into our process and approach so we can still speak to what they believe they want, but also give them the calm and the peace and the, hopefully also some self-awareness and empowerment to manage the state that they're in, to get them to a better state to make a decision. Because making decisions in this activated state is probably not the best place with the best long-term outcome for them.
And I think what comes up for me, Mary J, is the industry is so much fear orientated in any case. If you pick up nearly any marketing brochure, it's written in a fear language, so many, this percentage of the population is going to get dread disease, this percentage of the population is. So very much, trying, most probably unconsciously or consciously, focusing on this state to get clients psyched up, but it's the wrong thing, because there's actually other things that's much important, most probably, for that client. So yeah.
And if we look at how the percentage of clients that actually take the action that is required to do the things they need to do, they don't do it because they get immobilized and paralyzed in that fight, flight, freeze space anyway. Yeah. So if we're wanting to get the behavioral outcomes, having this knowledge is so helpful, because we can get them into the state where they are able to move to conscious action, not that sympathetic, reactive, have to do something now action.
Thanks.
Just to what you've mentioned, I mean, I think that was the biggest wake-up call for me, was how our industry is really sales-driven by numbers, and we all know it, and it's all fear-driven, and it's for the financial advisor's survival and for the company's survival, and it's a past belief system. I always say, people, you're not your career, you're not your relationship, you're not, nothing is, we're living in an illusion. For me, it is, because, I mean, you've got so much of programming, just money programming, and cultural. I had a discussion the other day also with cultural programming, especially women, around money, of the different cultures. I mean, it's horrific. And then you see how many people is making so much of mistakes, financial mistakes, without understanding their subconscious beliefs about money, about cultural things. And I think it's, for us, it's sometimes different or difficult. I don't see it as a difficult, I see it as an opportunity. And for me, there's a lot of education, a lot of awareness that we need to do in the industry for people to realize, but it's sometimes, I must be honest, and now I'm real, it's difficult, because companies drive revenue, they drive Excel spreadsheets, they drive sales. And so there's a lot of contradiction to it, but I know what I believe now. What is real and what's authentic for our industry is not to sell from fear, and help our clients not to react to the fear, but to be able to make a conscious decision, and helping them through the process of what do you really need. And then we need much more authentic, financial advisors also, they're not selling on the fear.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And the reality is, if we can just get past the past beliefs, we'll still sell the products, we'll still sell the solutions, but just in a much more humane way, that's the right products and the right solutions for our clients to address their needs. And we will empower them to be self-generative in terms of dealing with some of the issues they've got every day, and have a happier life and more meaningful lives at the end of the day. That's the beauty of this approach for me. And we'll still get all those other things that the companies and that engaging that, and that look at the ladder, and and if we then look at the polyvagal nerve, the interesting part is it's actually the nerve that then runs up behind our neck, our eyes, and our head, and that's most probably in a lot of cases also causing that's why we sometimes have got tension in our necks and tension in our shoulders sitting there, is the nerve runs back to the back of our minds in our necks, and that's what they call the dorsal vagal, or the part that then takes us down the ladder. That's most probably where we totally freeze. That's the space where the negative cortisol and adrenaline comes in to our bodies, and that's a space where we feel that we're out of options. We feel trapped. The client will most probably say, it doesn't help me to blow a budget, because in any case, by the 10th of the month, he's going to start lending from family again, or I'm just going to take up the credit on my credit card again. Everything is falling apart. So why do I need to bother to do anything? Or they'll do mental accounting and discount stuff and say, that's unimportant. I just go on from month to month. Why bother to say, if there's no money, there's no money. Will feel criticized by the world, and also criticize the world. And then also the space is most probably also a dangerous space, because the person will feel they no longer belong anymore. There's no belonging, etc. So in my mind, I call this the sidelined, feeling sidelined is the name that I give to it. But on the other side of the gift of where we are, we can think of is our sensory acuity in terms of being upright and going into the world, because that's the part of our body that actually can open up for us and move us into the world if we want to start climbing the ladder again. It's also what the declarations we can make into the world, the words we speak into the world. How do we help our clients to think differently through, like Mary said, in terms of our process, like help them explore new possibilities, create that excitement of, the one small new step that you can take after our engagement that you do have control over, that will take you to that next level, and how can we get you excited about that? So as it takes us down the ladder, it's also a place where we can, through our bodies, help our clients to start climbing that ladder again, and by small steps start going up the ladder. And if we can then move up the ladder and we go past our sympathetic system that wants to say what's going on here, and we say, tula, let's just walk up the ladder. There's new horizons. Let's be curious. Then we get to a space which actually then comes. And I think in martial arts, our core is most probably, and I'm not a martial art, I had karate at school, but worked with people like Wendy, etc. Is if you work with martial arts, your core, and in so many sports, our core is actually the place that keeps us upright, that gives us the energy to engage with the world, is if we can live there, because that's also a place of non-judgment. It's because our core do not have the capability to put context of our past or our fears of the future to it. So it's safe. It's a safe place. And I see it as our cause gives us the ability to, in the first place, create a circle which is inclusive. So irrespective of all the things that's happening here, we can all hold that lightly, and then with no judgment say, let's be curious and see what's happening here. Also from our core, if we work from there, that's that place where we sometimes can't believe that in an hour we did more than what we've done in the past week. That's that space where we're in total flow. It's also the place where we are creative and can design and think out new things, which Mary and I love to think out new things and new ways of going to make the world a better place and get people engaged in finances and financial planning. But then we still use our mind, we still use our hearts, but it's that place where we then not judgmental. In my case, I do not have the critical voice that say, what is the students going to say about it? What is the client going to say about it? And I think that's also that space where if we newly engaging with this, with our clients, it's, why am you going to have this discussion? Your client is going to think you're stupid or mad or soft. It's not that. Your client is going to, perhaps the first time, this is totally different than what you ever engaged with me, but this feels great because now I understand my emotions, I understand my feelings, I understand my anxiety, and I feel a lot better when I walk out of your office or after the Zoom call. And I've also embodied some new skills that I can use all over in my life. So you hugely empowered your client, and that's also that space where we can enjoy, where we can just sit with ideas, and that's also most probably why sometimes we get the most wonderful ideas is while we are showering or while we doing something totally different that's not part of our work. We're not trying to force it. It just comes up because we're doing something that we are in a space of flow where we're not judgmental. We most probably we engaging as a whole body with our heads, hearts, and we're just engaging in the world and seeing what's coming in here. And that's also like when we with friends or people that's dear to us, where we just enjoy. And they can talk a lot of nonsense, is fine. We don't judge them. We just go with it. If the one is an anti-vaxxer and the other one is a vaxxer, so fine, it's your choice. I've got my opinion, you've got your opinion, so just go and let's learn from each other. And yeah, so is how can we use this ladder to engage differently with our clients, but also empowering our clients to look differently at their finances and engage, like Mary started off with, the different intelligences to embody as a whole person your financials also in a holistic way. So yeah, that's some thoughts from my side. Any input from the people on the call? From our friends in Botswana, Mpo, Une, what do you say of this? Because this is most probably completely new to you. What went through your minds?
As you were asking for input, I was actually thinking this is going to be one of those sessions where I just sit and absorb information. But I think I haven't gone through the document, but I think these interactions really help because it helps us to put it into context, and with the insights and practical examples that have been given, I think it makes it a lot easier to apply and better understand the concept. I also like what Mary and Alta said about the fact that you're able to tie it into your own beliefs, what I then wonder is, how do you get a sense of what the client would be comfortable with speaking now about spiritual beliefs? Bearing in mind that obviously we have different beliefs. How do you sort of gauge where they are, what they'd be comfortable with?
Thanks, Juan. Hendrik, can I say
Yeah.
my comment on that? I truly believe all of us as human beings is blessed with gifts and talents. And sometimes, you know, other people around you is withholding you from it. You know, they're trying to control you, and that you cannot share your gifts with the world. And because it's all fear, we're living in a fear-based world where there's only fear projected on everybody else. And I don't talk to clients on a very deep level. I go to where they're comfortable. So some people go immediately, you know, you will feel the energy. You will feel that it's comfortable for them. And they will guide you actually to that. Listen, this is what happened. And remember, if I say spiritual gifts, I'm not saying, you know, it's specific religions. I'm saying we all here with gifts, and we all here to share our gifts with the world. And we need to start becoming comfortable sharing our gifts, not from a place of fear, but from a place of love. And if I can give you one comment, the way I explain to my clients, I say we're paddling on two pedals. And the one is the fear and the other one is love. And if you paddle on fear, there will always be shame, guilt, resentment. You know, if you do things that you're not feeling authentic and real to yourself. So that is paddling on the fear paddle. And the moment you paddle on the love paddle, you will feel free. You'll feel that you're doing the right thing. It will just move you forward. So that the energy actually of love and fear is totally different. And that comes back to your own authentic self and what is your gifts that you need to share in the world. I don't know if it makes sense. So I'm always going into the spiritual laws, but I sometimes say you need to, and that's, Hendrik is mentioning it, the ladder that you go up and down, but it's really, you either paddling on fear or you're paddling on love. If you're paddling on fear, there will be resentment, guilt, judgment, shame, all the negative emotions. But the moment you paddle on love, you're doing it from a place of love, and there's no judgment there.
Thanks for that. It does. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm in a similar position to, I mean, and it's a question that a lot of financial planners ask is, we've got all these tools and we've got all this knowledge now, but how do we start? How do we start to engage? How do we take that step? And it's not easy, but there's a couple of things that have occurred to me in this session now. The one thing that Hendrik, the first one is it starting with ourselves first? So we can't, all of this stuff that we're learning, we actually can't help anybody else with until we've figured it out for ourselves first. And then second of all, what Hendrik said about, it was key for me. I think I've said it before, what is my team going to think? What are my clients going to think when I start to have conversations with them about things like this? Are they going to resist? Are they not going to like me anymore because they don't recognize this person? So that fear is still a real thing for me, is that how people are going to respond and how careful do I have to be, because I don't want to alienate them because they're not ready to start that journey. So that had an impact on me. And I guess when you get to the point where you are comfortable with it yourself, you don't have that fear anymore, so you do it anyway. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense, Robin. Spot on.
I mean, I sat in a team meeting today, and I just see how we start to create these we want to have conversations about collaborating with other businesses. And inside the team, and I'm imagining you get this from your clients, is this initial resistance to, but no, we've got to protect ourselves and we've got to protect our work. We can't just hand it out to somebody else. So that was interesting this morning. And then I was like, am I doing this right? Am I getting the message across? Because I'm not sure. And I'm only assuming that this is a process. It's not a once-off exercise. It's a long-term process.
Thanks, Robin. We nearly out of time, so perhaps just a short thought of what struck you about the conversations, if we can just quickly get feedback from the other people that I'm very grateful and thankful for being on the call. I can't even think that the hour already passed. It feels like just like this. Carmen, your thoughts perhaps there from the beautiful plate.
Thank you. And I'm just also listening to everyone, but I guess that in due time with the course, we will have a better idea how to implement all these. I don't want to call it steps because each client would be different how you approach it. But like, for example, do you start with, watching the body language? How do you what's the process of the whole coaching session? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah. No, we'll touch on that, Carmen.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for the session.
Thanks, Carmen. Francis.
Hendrik, ek prosesseer nog. Ernstig. So ek het notas gemaak. Is baie goed, baie valuable nuggets. So yeah, I'm learning. Thanks a lot for all the contributions.
No,
Thank you very much,
Frans. But Sarah.
Oh yes, I'm just learning as well, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to learning a lot more and be able to have an impact on my clients, even on myself as well. I feel that we really needed to have started on this one a long time ago. It looks like it is going to make us even better in our jobs. Thank you very much for the session.
Thanks.
But the other thing I would also probably want to find out, this session is not appearing on my calendar. I don't know how you can make it appear on my calendar. It doesn't appear at all. Yes.
Okay. I'll contact you, and then we can so I'll pop you a mail, and then we can sort that out with Sarah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Last thoughts, perhaps, Mary J. Thanks for being with us again.
Thank you. I love this space. Yeah, I do believe it does come back to ourselves, because when we are truly comfortable, and it is a process, it does take practice, but then we show up and we attract the clients that are right for us. And that speaks to, the whole concept of niching, but it's like our energy brings the people who want to have those conversations. They might not know it and say it explicitly, or maybe they do. Just stay committed to the journey, and you'll get there.
Thanks, Mary J.
Thank you, Hendrik.
Yeah, thank you, Hendrik, and thank you for, I want to say, the deep work, because I think it's really, not everybody is feeling comfortable to have these type of conversations. And it's like Mary just mentioned now, you have to go through the journey yourself to be able to help other clients through the journey. And then you don't have to chase people anymore. You attract the people, and the right people that's ready will come to you. And I think it's such a different approach that financial advisors can also use, to help clients from an authentic journey, and sharing their stories. You mentioned stories, and I think as financial planners, the view that they've got on clients and money beliefs and fear and anxiety and family conflict and money conversations, cannot have money conversations, and no financial boundaries and financial infidelity. I mean, there's so much that they can actually talk about, but they're scared. They live from the old model of selling, and they have to go through the transformation first before they will be able. And I think it's for us, I'm also telling people sometimes it's difficult to tell this to people. And I've started, and I'll talk to you as well, Hendrik, is start creating content that people, if they listen to it, they think, maybe that's me, because that's the only way we're going to create awareness around these type of things. Because people is resistant. In the moment it's resistant, it's because it's against their beliefs. It's something new. I want to stay in my comfort zone. And I prefer people not to go through serious pain before they get here, because we can all do it through a normal process. But yeah, but thanks. I'm going to definitely talk to you as well.
Can I just quickly add to that what you both said also, and Mary, it's Jay, it's as I say, you can only do doing the work yourself, and then what you said also about well, basically attracting the people that you can resonate with in your work, that you can only take someone as deep as how far you've gone. And whether that's even in friendships or business, doesn't matter, or especially coaching them. So doing the work yourself, then you can take the other person as deep as or far as that you've gone. Yes.
Nay, perhaps a last thought from your side.
Yes, similar to what everybody else has said, really, but I like the fact that the word authentic keeps coming up. You know, I think as somebody who's looking to start something up, you attend all the conferences and you get the theory and you're motivated, and you speak with people in the industry and you get comments like, you know, people don't want to pay for advice, or, you know, I'm struggling because clients don't want to pay the amount that I'm charging, the fees that I'm charging. And I think it goes back to figuring it out for yourself as an individual, and staying true to what you stand for, and providing meaningful solutions. And I truly do believe that then you will attract the right clients. So I think much as I sort of feel a bit out of my depth because I don't have prior experience in this area, I also feel that in a way it's a positive thing, because I'm not faced with the challenge of having to unlearn, you know, the approaches that I've been using up to now. So I think it's also a positive. Thanks.
Thanks, definitely, Oni. Robin, closing thought from your side.
I feel like I talk too much anyway, but I'm still learning, and I'm just, it's just wonderful to be able to have access to this space and to these people that are thinking differently. It's great. Again, thank you very much, everybody, for all your contributions.
Thank you very much from my side again, and may you have an awesome rest of the month until we meet again. So yeah, all of the best. Thank you very much.
Till we meet again. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
And PBS is the one who